Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting of September 6th, 2022. If you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, Maureen. Could you check attendance, please?
Trustee Lizickis. Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee DeJay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Kimmelhurt.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. I got a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for August 16th, 2022. Moved by Marcia, second.
I'll second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion?
I have a correction. The very last page, it said motion by trustee Lizickis and second by trustee Lizickis.
Aha.
It should be motion by Kimmelhurt.
Right.
Second by Lizickis.
Nice catch.
Good catch.
Do you want to change your motion to approve the edits we just discussed?
Yes.
Molly, you're changing your second?
Yes, absolutely.
Note those? Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the payment of abstracts for 9/6/2022 for voucher numbers 62605 to 62652 for a total of $174,554.88.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second. Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, we'll have 2 speakers and communication opportunities at this meeting. One is now. If you have something you'd like to say, raise your hand. When called on, come up to the microphone, please, and give us your name and address and let us know what your thoughts are. And if you could try to keep it under 2 or 3 minutes, we would appreciate it. And there will be a second opportunity to speak publicly at the end of the meeting. Anyone? Nancy, sure.
Nancy Smith, I live at 195 Sycamore Street. First of all, just thank you all for your service. I know there's a lot involved with being a trustee and a mayor, and I really appreciate that. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Hamlin Park plan. In particular, I'm curious about the seeker document. And I want to thank Kathy for sending me lots of things. Thank you very much. You've been incredibly responsive. On the first page, it talks about project location. It says describe and attach a location map. And I don't know if there's another part to this, but it seems like that's an important part. And I'm just curious if I was missing a piece, or where is the site plan, especially for the work for the basketball courts that are being proposed? Otherwise, I feel like this isn't a complete seeker. Also, on one of the other pages, it talks about will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? That was checked no. And I guess I'm pretty concerned about the trees. When you look at the survey, I think there were 74 responses from the survey where people said, I care about the trees, I care about the mature trees, the beautiful grove. So I think that's a really important aspect of what we're trying to protect in our park. Also, the planning process in general, I'm concerned that only, I think it's 54% of the respondents are from the village. So we're the ones that are paying for it. And I know there's grant funds for this, but the maintenance is a concern afterwards. So I've talked with Randy West, he's the head of the Planning Commission. He would be willing to talk to the Planning Commission about updating the plan. At this point, it's 5 years old, and I think the world changed post-COVID. I know for the Western New York Land Conservancy, people are using natural spaces more than ever. So I'd like to see the plan updated, and also what you're doing right now, if seeker is required, you're not really doing what's in the plan. So it should either be updated or you should be following it as seeker would dictate. Also specifics about how the construction is taking place. Like if you look at the tennis courts, if you are going to do something in the grove, it's going to affect the trees. I have a picture of how far the roots extend out beyond the drip line. And the space by the trees by the tennis courts wasn't protected during construction. There isn't just one tree that will be impacted in this discussion I'm hearing. There's a beech tree there as well. So those are my comments. I have another letter that I'd like to read from someone else, but I'll let somebody else go first. Thank you. Oh, I guess finally, just there are so many assets that are people in this community. The neighbor meeting we had the other day. You have the head of 2 nonprofits there, a deputy executive director from a nonprofit. You have planners, you have arborists. There's a lot of people that want to be involved and help you guys make this the best community that it could be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Good evening, everyone, and also thank you for your service. We do appreciate all the effort, time you put into trying to run a village. No?
Name and address, please.
Jim Nowak, 175 Sycamore Street.
Thank you.
175 Sycamore Street. I've been there for 35 years, and over that time, kind of accrue an awful lot of anecdotal evidence about what happens in Hamlin Park. That's going to be the focus of my concerns tonight. So 35 years of a lot of different events, some I would like, some I don't like, but that's living on a park, which we kind of acknowledge when you move into that place. You do gain an awful lot of information. And so that's the process I used to actually come to an opinion on, what might be good for the park, what might not be good for the park. But that process for me just comes to an opinion. It doesn't generate, as in your case, policy and programs. And so what's going on in the park, that was a bit of a concern to me. I don't understand the process. When I go to the most recent document and I take a look at what's in there, I see a paved walking path. It's a phase 3 plan. I see the possibility of something like pickleball courts and tennis courts, but that's phase 2. When I look at the plan, it says phase 1, number 1, it's addressing an issue of bathrooms. So that's a big issue. When I take a look at the plan saying that, and then I take a look at the little bubble diagrams they put in there, the biggest font is restrooms and bathrooms. I'm not hearing anything about bathrooms. So I'm concerned about the process and how you got to where you're at. So I would like to also that you suggest that you go back to the planning process, maybe take a recanvassing of those village residents and find out what is it they really want. Because if it's still consistent with what was in that plan, we're going down the wrong path. So I just ask you to take a look at the process before you turn over another shovel of dirt, spend another dime, find out what is the residents really are asking for, and is it consistent with the plan? And if the plan is inconsistent with where we want to be because it is old or outdated, let's update it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else?
Hi, how's everyone? I'm Ellen Newmeyer. I live at 284 Mill Road. And I have a statement from Ellen Mumaw, who has COVID right now and was unable to come. And she would have been here tonight. So I have permission to read her statement?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, Ellen Mumaw lives at 423 Oakwood Avenue. And she said info is taken from the advertiser column published in 2015 by Robert Lowell Gowler, village and town historian. And she says, there's a need to save our Central Park again. Locals originally saved the grove of trees known as Holmes Grove as land began being cleared for homes in that area. A description of the park published as part of an 1890 booklet about East Aurora noted the beautiful valley of the Cazenovia extending southward into the state of Pennsylvania and within, which is located the village of East Aurora, was covered at the time of its earlier settlement with a dense forest of beech, maple, and oak. By rare good fortune, the axe of the settler was turned aside in its work of destruction, and a bit of this native forest, forming a plat of several acres, was left unmarred and now lies within the corporate limits of the village and near its center. After the valley became settled, while the woods on all sides gradually melted away, this little remnant of woodland was preserved, suffering only the loss of a tree here and there and its outskirts. By 1899, there was a group of villagers very concerned about the loss of the grove. That time it was because of not enough money, 7,000, about 200,000 in today's money, which Hamlin swooped in and paid. This time it's because of having too much available money. Now there's enough money to spoil the look and feel of our precious parkland gifted to us from Cicero Hamlin, former owner of East Aurora's Village Farm. Let's not let that happen. Let's take a breath, step back, and reconsider once again what we want in our park, in the heart of our village, to look like and how we want it to function. This process need not be hurried and shouldn't be. And then I have a statement from myself that, if I may read that also. Hamlin Park was carved out of trees. In fact, all of East Aurora was originally a forest. In this historic town, it's important we keep our trees. Our residents indicated on the survey that mature trees are very important to them. People from outside mentioned they love East Aurora. It has mature trees. It's a crime to cut down any tree in good standing. Each year on Arbor Day, students at the high school recount all the ways trees help us. They write little papers about this. Trees provide food, shade, beauty, real estate value, raise real estate value, provide flood control, remove carbon dioxide, give us oxygen, and the list go on. I served on the tree board for 20 years and I'm still trying to protect them. Hamlin Park needs to keep as much of its natural setting as possible with minimal paving. There is no need for the cost and disruptions that would be caused by reorienting the basketball court. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellen. Anyone else? Jim?
Jim Clark, 358 South Grove. I'm going to echo some of what's already been said about Hamlin Park, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different path. There's a very famous book called The Lorax. You may have seen the movie, so I will quote a little bit from there. I will read the whole thing, but so here we go. I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade of their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffalo fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffalo fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the once alert, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of the crummies and tummies, you know. I just want to say that it might be one tree that you cut down, but it's a slippery slope. And it's a beautiful grove that we have, and I hope it can stay. So that part's already been talked about enough. But I've also heard concern about the basketball court and some of the language that's used there. And I work in an elementary school, and I can tell you that this could possibly be an opportunity for a community builder. We have something called the Buddy Club, where high school students come over to my elementary school once a week, and they mentor young students who could use some. And for many of those kids, it's a highlight of their week. And with very little guidance and help from parents and maybe a coach or two, talking to the teenagers and saying, hey, look, you know, there's toddlers close by. Can you maybe clean it up a bit? And it's funny, I was talking to a counselor today, and she said, Jim, sometimes they're clueless. Like you just give them a tap and go, hey, there's some little kids right here. And they stand there and go, huh? Oh, okay. And maybe it's something as simple as that versus trying to move the court and, the cost that comes along with it. I'm just asking you to please consider maybe looking at the plan again. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Why don't you go ahead?
I'm Amanda Kozarowskis and I live at 221 Sycamore, and I've been there now for 40 years. And the kids nowadays are not what they were 40 years ago. There seems to be no respect for the neighbors. Hamlin Park is in a residential area, and I have the swearing that goes on behind my house from Little Loop football. And where I live, I have Little Loop football. Next to me is that tennis court. And the way people feel about the trees, can't you just leave that basketball court where it is and just repave the thing? To me, that would be a logical question. And 40 years ago, there used to be signs up that with rules and regulations, and I don't see any of that anymore. But people need to know that that park closes at dusk. Saturday night, I was sleeping out in a tent camper with my grandkids all night long. There were kids over at that park. And they weren't bouncing a basketball either. So either there's a big drug problem going on or they're meeting up with their friends. I don't know. But that's not for me to look into. That's for you guys to look into. But there are issues up there. These kids are coming in with their trucks, blasting away from South Grove. I can hear it all the way in my living room. And I think it was Sunday night, I called the police department because this guy came in with this truck and he was playing rap music. And that's not the place for it. So that's all I need to say.
Thank you, Amanda. Anyone else like to speak? Sir?
Hi there, my name's Owen O'Sullivan and I live at 503 Griggs Place. And again, yeah, thank you all for your work and totally understand the desire to take initiative and to make stuff happen and to try to improve the park as quickly and as effectively as possible. And the paving the walking path was a great success last year too. It was fantastic, but there is something there's something else, beyond just speed and getting stuff done. And that's what makes East Aurora an extraordinarily unique place. And I'm a new resident here. I've just been living here 3 years. But I'm from Ireland originally, and I've traveled around the world, and East Aurora is one of the most charming places I've ever seen. And you as trustees and as village workers here are custodians of this extraordinary gem of a place. It really is one of the most charming places I've ever come across, and the people are just as charming. Nearly everyone I've met is fabulously charming. But there's something very special about the place, and so there can be a great desire to want to get something done quickly, but actually what's far more important is preserving, protecting, promoting that thing that is the essence of this place, which is very hard to put a finger on. The word charm, I think, is something we can all understand. So when it comes to the park, Hamlin Park, how to engage a plan that is a charming plan rather than one that is efficient or pragmatic. I think that's something that I would really encourage you all to think about going forward. Now, on another note, you can hear that a lot of residents are very concerned that they're not being engaged in this whole process. So there was a meeting of about 15 or 20 of us last Saturday, and there's quite a quite a group forming that are very concerned that there are resources that we can offer to help bring and maintain and fund the most charming plan possible for this park. So the opportunity is here. And I would really encourage you as trustees and protectors, holders of this charming gem, to take a step back and to call in the help that's willing to come forward and to make this Central Park as charming as the rest of this beautiful village, you know. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Owen. Nancy, want your redo? Did you change your mind? You're gonna show up and be like, cut that tree down, please.
This speaks directly to that. This is from Nate Buckley. His address right now is 438 Massachusetts Avenue in Buffalo, but he grew up on Sycamore Street. So my name is Nathan Buckley. I grew up on Sycamore Street in the village of East Aurora, and the park was one of my favorite places to go as a youth. I am now a certified arborist and owner-operator of For the Love of Trees LLC, and have been doing tree work since the October storm in 2006. I assessed the sugar maple at the corner of the basketball court. This was last night. My findings were as follows. I found the root flare, trunk, and branches in good shape. The top approximately 25 feet of the tree should be reduced to minimize the risk of decay, failure in the root zone areas. My suggested treatment could be the application of a probiotic fertilizer with mulching to protect the area around the root zone. I see this mature tree as an asset that needs some attention, however, not an imminent threat. Mature trees in the park are the most beautiful part of the park and should be cared for, and I suggest more trees should be planted in preparation to replace the mature canopy over the years to come. I played basketball in the park for many years without complaint and don't think the location should be moved. And I don't think anybody said directly, we've heard a lot about it needs to be a north-south orientation, which I don't know, it seems kind of crazy to me. East-west, first of all, the sun rises in the east, and I don't think many people are playing basketball at sunrise. I don't think so. And then at sunset, the sunset's blocked by the trees in the building. So I'm adding, Nate didn't say that, I did. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Sue?
Good evening, Sue Bodkin, 285 Cleat. And I will echo what everyone else has said. This is not easy jobs that you have, and that does not go unnoticed. So thank you. The only thing I wish to add is the group that met that Owen spoke of. There was someone whose house butts up against the park who made a statement that really upsets me and continues to upset me. There is apparently in the park a pea tree, and it is a tree that is routinely visited by youngsters and young adults so that they don't have to go to the disgusting, filthy bathrooms that we have in our park. And in a beautiful, historic, wonderful village like this is, I was born here, so nobody loves it more. We should never have a pea tree. And I think that speaks for itself in where our priorities should lie going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else? Sir.
Hello, everyone. Steve Greco, 750 Oakwood. And I can, again, certainly appreciate the job you guys have in front of you. You guys do this day in and day out. I have no doubt that you guys have evaluated all of the options and looked at all of the concerns and heard all the residents. And so we appreciate you hearing us. I'm going to take this from more of a basketball perspective, as well as a youth perspective. These are my children that I brought with me this evening. I played basketball my entire life. I played basketball on that court in Hamlin Park. Number one, it absolutely needs something to happen. It's unsafe. The proximity to the playground is a challenge, as well as a number of other challenges, including that tree on the corner. I fully understand the concerns of the other residents. I agree. Look, if we can not disturb, other trees in the area. However, there is a case to beautify this park. This is our hallmark park of our town. So everything else in East Aurora is taken with great care and great pride. We have one basketball court outdoor basketball court in all of East Aurora. So my children do go and play at that court, but right now it's unsafe for them to play on. And they do play in the mornings in the summertime. They get together with their friends. And they are the kids that go there to play basketball. And our one opportunity to make a nice place where kids can go and play basketball, have a safe environment to go play basketball. That is what lies ahead right now. So yes, there's a Band-Aid fix, I understand, on the table. However, this town deserves more than just a Band-Aid fix, right? We have an opportunity to make something great within our park for the kids in this town. And that's really who it's about, right? I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a brand new travel basketball program here in East Aurora. We started this up last winter, and we had a record number of turnout for the basketball camp held at the high school. The interest in basketball in this town is only growing, and there was people who were waitlisted to get into the camp. Right now, there is no other place for these kids to go play basketball if they don't belong to the Boys and Girls Club, right? So not only having more opportunities and potentially additional baskets for these kids to play, right? If there's somebody playing on the court, well, then other kids can't play and they turn around and go home and go find something else to do. And that's, in my opinion, right, for the kids who are looking for a place to play, that's what's really important. So I urge you guys to really figure, and again, back to, it's a difficult task, but figuring out a way to create that new basketball court as well as address some of those other concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Sir.
Jesse Griffiths, 1955 Boise, representing the tree board for the village. And you probably know where I stand. Nobody goes to the park to have a picnic under a 3-inch caliper replacement tree, right? You're not going to set up your canopies on the 3rd of July to sell hot dogs for Kiwanis, et cetera, under a small, replacement tree for one of these big old trees that are here. We've heard from an arborist who took a look at it just last night. The trees that are there are old. Some of them may be declining, but they're worth a lot more than we think. And I think that what we ought to do is take a step back, think long and hard about removing any of those trees, because none of us are going to be around when they grow to replace what's there. Any new tree grows to replace what's there. And yeah, I think that's about all I have to say. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Jesse. Miss? No, you can come on up if you just wouldn't mind saying your name and address for the record, because we record every meeting. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm Susan Russell and I live at 159 Sycamore Street. And I back right up to the playground. And I'll be brief. I do apologize. I was late, so I don't know what comments have been said before. And I don't want to duplicate. But I would just say that one of my observations is the ongoing garbage problem in the park. So I would like to comment on that. I don't think anybody else has. And I would love to see, if it isn't too late, to add into the plan that it would be really great to see some recycling, appropriately designed recycling bins with the right size holes for bottles and cans, because the park lacks that. And those existing garbage cans are usually overflowed to filling, especially after weekends. There's just garbage everywhere. And they do the best they can to come pick it all up. But I think a lot of that trash could be reduced if people had a viable recycling option there in the park. That's one suggestion. And the other one is, I know there was the infamous Petrie. I will say that's not my yard, but as somebody who's in her yard a lot, I have in the past and continue to, a little less because of the pandemic. I've often let little kids and mothers come in through my yard to use my bathroom because they just can't make it that far. over the parking lot bathroom. So that's something that I've offered to people more times than I can count on two hands. So I do think that the bathroom situation definitely would love to see that phase one, implementation, which I think is a real priority. Bathrooms seem to be an issue for people. Okay, that's it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak on any topic at all? All right, so that is going to be,
Wait.
oh, I didn't see you. Sorry, my man.
My name is. Hold on. Excuse me.
You're all right.
You want to wing it?
My name is Benjamin Greco from 750 Oakwood Avenue. I'm a seventh grader at East Aurora Middle School. And I've been playing basketball ever since second to fourth grade at the Boys and Girls Club. And I really feel like we need to upgrade, I guess you could say, not like my dad said, put a Band-Aid fix on it, but like upgrade it with more baskets and better pavement, and also to show like where the lines are, because it's fading like over time. Because many people have said that like it's like 40 years old and whatnot. And I also think that we need to get a better court, like I said, for the kids of East Aurora. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greco. Anyone else like to speak? All right, that's going to be the, is there another one? Anybody? All right. All right, so that's the end of our first speakers and communications. Before we go on to the public hearing, we're going to jump right to new business, since obviously you're all here to talk about this. I'm not going to make you wait till the end of the meeting before we talk about this. So the village, now that you've said your piece, the village board is going to kind of discuss it. Excuse me, the DPW I know is ready to take some direction from whatever we come up with. So maybe this is a good time for us to get into it. Just based on some of the comments I've heard, this whole Hamlin Park master plan was, it's been a few years since we did it, but we got a lot of public input for it. We had a survey with 1,000 respondents, 130 some described themselves as living within one block of the park. Another 300 and some were from the village. And the other half were, people in the town and communities in the area who come and use our gem, if you will. So, like Mr. Greco said, we would like to have, Hamlin Park be a shining centerpiece of the village. So we definitely want to get this right. But, different people have different interests and different opinions. And so we got to kind of hammer out how we're going to end up doing this. In my opinion, not doing anything isn't even an option. I mean, we've heard from enough people that the courts are in bad shape and somebody's going to break an ankle or something. I think the nets are still usable. Yeah. So we don't have to get new nets, but the cost differences, you said, were about 12,000 to resurface.
Correct. And then I think it was 27,000 to replace.
77?
27. No, the building.
I thought
Like
it was
significantly less
75.
than I
Yeah, I thought we
remember.
would go with a number in the 70,000s to do a whole new court. But I mean, again, we're trying to save money where we can. And this Hamlin Park plan, I know a gentleman said that the first thing on there was the bathroom building. That was also at the time, 5 years ago, a $1.2 million project, right? So Hamlin Park is a nice to have, but like fixing Oakwood and fixing the culvert, those were the need to have. So we had to spend the money on those. Those are our two big infrastructure projects that we had to take care of first. So now we're able to start paying more attention to Hamlin Park, which has been neglected for a long time. But one of the things we're doing besides kind of hammering out the maintenance of it is doing things while we have the money to do them, right? Rather than just keep waiting to have until we have 1.2 million to do this whole big building thing. We're looking at it saying, all right, last year the track was in bad shape. and our DPW worked with the paver they use, and they were able to put that 8-foot wide track all the way around and not have it run across home plate. And I see people of all ages and walks of life using that on a regular basis, which is nice. So we're sitting there saying, okay, what else can we do? Right? Instead of a $1.2 million building with bathroom, what else can we do? One of the things I know, Matt, you talked about maybe being able to have the DPW, who was just coming off rehabbing the police hall, our police station. The DPW has done all the work in there to try to save taxpayers like all of you money. Matt, is that something, those bathrooms by the football thing that you think you could take a look at, maybe come up with a plan to?
The bathroom, the football end of the park, we had planned on doing some work there over the winter, and talking with Kathy. We are going to make them ADA compliant, put in new lighting, adjust the stall sizes for the ADA compliance, and then epoxy coat the floors and possibly the walls as well, along with the additional wall to hide all the plumbing to cut down on vandalism.
But you're gonna put a false wall in there so that the plumbing is all hidden from out of reach and out of view, which
Correct.
helps for vandalism. What about, I know on the north side bathrooms, you did some work there, and then some thieves went in and I guess stole a lot of the copper right at the fixtures.
Yeah, that happened a number of times over the years.
Yeah. So is the stuff you're able to use? I think Grace, you said prison grade. Like, is that something you could do just to make sure? Because they are out of sight, obviously. You're not gonna put
Right,
cameras in bathrooms.
the
So
fixtures, the toilets and sinks will still be utilized. But there's enough room that we can add a spacer wall to put all the plumbing behind it.
How much is that gonna cost, Matt?
I would
About-
say, I would say 15,000 maybe at the outside most.
For the football wall?
Yeah,
That's not bad.
and they'd be ADA compliant,
Yep.
and you'd hide a lot of the vandalism targets, and
the
you'd be able to
plumbing
do
would be
that.
hidden. There'd be a closet built in the women's, a lockable closet in the women's restroom that would we'd be able to put supplies in there. For cleaning supplies and paper supplies.
There's 4 stalls in there now, so would you have to?
There'd be 3 in the women's and then 2 in the men's.
After they put the wall in and everything? If they'd be ADA compliant, you could do it for 15,000, and you think you could do it over the winter when they're not being used?
Correct.
You have to heat that space? How do you do that?
No, those buildings are already heated.
But I mean, so we keep it heated all winter?
They're heated all winter to begin with. We lower the temperature to about 55 degrees, but they stay heated all winter
Perfect.
long.
Just like my dad.
What about the other bathroom? Pete?
The other bathroom, the plan that the engineers came up with when they did the Hamlet Park master plan was to take that bathroom down and incorporate it into a new rec building. But the new rec building, I think the current rec building is like 2,000 square feet. And the new one they envisioned was like 4,000 square feet.
Mm.
But if there's a way, and maybe we bring in a contractor to do this, but add bathrooms onto the east end of the existing building. I don't know, I'm just spitballing.
No, I know, I'm just.
Add bathrooms there. The big issue was when families are at the playground, right? And they got 3 little kids and a mom's there with 3 little kids, and one of them has to go to the bathroom. She's not gonna send them all the way around the Aurora Players Building out of sight by a street, right, on their own. So she takes all her kids and then has to go all the way over with them, then come all the way back. So the thought was, let's put a bathroom in line of sight to the playground. And it's actually more centrally located too. And then kids sledding down that little hill won't have something to run into.
Right.
If we put that bathroom away.
Right.
But that was kind of the thought process. So, maybe bring a contractor in and have them look at adding bathrooms onto the end. I know somebody said at the last meeting, a resident said that they thought that the town was gonna pay like 50,000 for the updated bathrooms at Glebe. And I talked to the town and the lowest bidder was 400,000
Okay.
to renovate those bathrooms by the pool. So, I mean, the building was, we were looking at 1.2 million 5 years ago, right? So who knows what that is now?
So it's 2 now, right?
So I mean, if maybe we spent 400,000 to put new bathrooms, ADA compliant bathrooms, and I don't know, maybe figure out how, if we can do that parking lot at the same time.
The addition,
And then ultimately, when we redo the building as we want, you can't have too many bathrooms.
Mhm.
So, we. At least this would be a stopgap measure, but again,
Yeah.
it's going
Well,
off the.
it makes the
plan,
park
but-
more usable.
but I
It makes the
think-
park more usable, because I remember I had 4 kids and
Sure.
I would have my nieces with me. And I take them down to the playground and then all of a sudden Heather has to go and. And it was like so inconvenient. I mean, I vividly remember what a pain that was, just moving those bathrooms within sight. Yes, they are. And having just come back from, Old Forge and the Adirondacks and they have public restrooms there that are beautiful. Right off the main street, well-maintained, attractive and clean. And so I think that's a priority. But to get back to the issue of getting more community input, addressing your statement, I drafted a rough mission statement for a Parks Advisory Committee to be formed of citizens of the community to advise us not just on Hamlet Park, on other parks and all aspects of the parks and how they should be developed, or so that we have a group that would act as liaison between the community and the DPW and the village board. So that's in the works as well. That's to address this need to communicate better with the community and its needs and wants. But I'm a tree guy and I oppose losing those trees. I've loved those trees all my life, Hamlet Park, and I think there's a way we can do what we need to do with the basketball court and not lose the trees or harm the trees. And still have it be cost effective and come up with something that's usable.
Well,
So,
I mean, I feel like we have 4 options, assuming everybody agrees that not doing anything is not an option, right? We gotta do something with the court.
No, we have to do something.
We're all on board.
Yep.
All right, good. We're gonna do something with the court. Right? We could resurface it where it is. Matt said he would mill the top. It's currently an NBA size court, which means it's like 50 by 94. It only has a 1 foot buffer around it. The nets are still usable. We could have him mill it and put a new surface in the existing spot. Wouldn't mess with any trees. It doesn't alleviate the issue with it being so close to the playground and errant basketballs flying over there or the language. But it's the least expensive of the options. And he could even do it, give a 3 foot buffer or whatever and spread that out. Right, Matt? I mean, you could, if you resurface it, just expand it.
Make it a little bigger.
Yeah.
Without harming any trees.
Or we turn it north-south and put it closer to the Aurora Players Building. And while that's being built, people could still use the old court. And then once the new court is finished, we would dismantle the old court and turn that back into green space. Right? Or whatever we end up doing with it. That brings it away from the playground, turns it north-south, but costs 1 sugar maple and puts it up near the Aurora Players. I know the director of the Aurora Players sent us a letter last week, and her concern was that they just started doing that outdoor show thing and it was a big hit. They want to keep doing that. So she said if we move the court over there, she'd ask that it would be closed at 7 p.m. 12 days of the year for their final rehearsals on their actual shows, which isn't that invasive, 12 days. To just put a sign out there and say no basketball after 7 p.m. on these 12 days. So we could do that, but it would cost the sugar maple and, maybe the noise might be disruptive. I don't know, but it is going north-south. That's the new court, which would be, Matt, do we have the number for the new court?
For the size?
Yeah, the price.
Oh, it was 77,000.
77, okay. So that would be the 77. We could put it over by the active use area, right? By the tennis courts, by the football field.
where the volleyball is now, the one volleyball.
Where the one volleyball is. We could move it all the way over there. We'd have to see that sound wise, what that would affect. And space wise, Matt, you said there's space to put it in there where the volleyball net is. I know Jeff, your coworker, said he thought it
It
looked crowded.
It would fit perfectly over there. I think it's a great location for it.
Yeah, right by the court center. Shane, you liked it because the police can pull up in the parking lot and the court's right there and the court's where the kids hang out.
Yeah, the teenagers hang out on the tennis or on the basketball court, for the most part, and that's generally where the issues are to be addressed. And again, I think separating age groups is always a good idea. There's no need for 3-year-olds at the hop to be hearing what the 15-year-olds are saying. when they're around.
So what do we do in that case? We just make it green space up there where it is now?
Yeah, you gain your green space and you can plant a tree
Plant some
there.
more trees?
So it's a net, even green space, right? Like getting rid of the old court, and putting in the new court. In fact, the new court, I talked to the athletic director at the high school, and he said a high school and college court is 84 feet by 50, I believe. It was 84 by 50. So we could do
You could put multiple
a
nets.
smaller court with a bigger buffer around it. And you could add some nets.
Some
Do
nets
half
on the
court
side.
stuff,
And you can
half
do,
court
yeah,
stuff.
any of these solutions, we could add nets on the sides, add 4 more nets, and then you could play 3-on-3 games, was his suggestion.
Right.
And it gives you 6 nets, so if there's a bunch of kids, if there's people playing at one end and there's a bunch of kids using the other one, they've got some options, so they could spread around a little.
So I like the idea of satisfying all the parties, most of the parties concerned, because I think the neighbors, if we put it in the location closer to the, where the volleyball net is, you're gonna have neighbors not like that in their backyard now, who've never had that. But keeping, the other option is keeping it in its current location. You're not harming the trees, you're not affecting your players. But then Shane says we have those issues with youth hanging out, and then, of course, the issue of the language which, I've witnessed when I had young children. Moving all the way across, then you have neighbors who don't want that. But on the other hand, you've got a nice court, it's oriented correctly, it's easier for the police to monitor who's in there. No trees are harmed, and you're adding green space to the grove. You're returning the grove to a grove. I mean, you're removing that asphalt. You're allowing the roots of those trees to have their space. You could add other trees as well to add to the grove. So I think I like both those options. I'm just not sure I want to have, here again, the neighbors down the park.
On Grove.
On Grove, and now they have basketball.
Well, and they're gonna have pickleball.
And pickleball. So this is
That was one of the things we talked about, is that right now where the basketball is, nobody complains about the noise, right?
Well, that's they
it's
looked,
always
when they
been
looked at the house to buy, they looked.
So
at
if we
all the
move it,
basketball court, but,
you're maybe opening yourself up to more issues. Just to add one more monkey in the gears. We could take the court, picture where the old court is, right? Just start at the midway line of the old court and go west where it's just grass. And we could tear the old court out, put a new court in that's effectively 25 feet west. So you'd have a new court, it wouldn't mess with the tree, it'd be farther from the playground. It wouldn't go north-south though, but it also wouldn't be up near the player stage.
So we just be sliding it over?
And you get 6 nets there.
Yeah, he could do an NBA sized court with a buffer and put 6 nets around it.
But Shane still can't get to it.
Yeah, Shane can't get to it, and then there's the cost, there's a contingent people who do not want us to spend $77,000 on a new court. They would, there are those people who would rather we spend that on something else. So there's that whole aspect of it too. If we keep the court where it is and just resurface it, improve the surface for the lower cost. Where we can apply that money towards, the bathroom and.
Is the longevity of resurfacing the court the same as providing a new one, or is it something we're gonna be fixing in the next 5 years?
I can't speak for what's underneath the court as far as the foundation,
Mhm.
but the new court we install will have adequate stone and grading. Will last a long time.
If you do.
Regardless,
New one, yeah.
or only if we do a new one?
Yeah, if he just mills the top of the old one, you're not doing anything to the
Right, I don't know what
underneath.
Yeah.
Like the tennis courts have that, they've got packed gravel, they've got
Mhm.
pipes to drain the water off.
And town rec uses the court for their activities in the summer as well. They kind of like to have it near their, their building.
Mhm.
So the cost of resurfacing the existing is what approximately, Matt?
The estimate we got last year before the incredible oil prices
Yeah.
was a little over 12,000 just for the to put the material down. I would say probably.
Okay.
20,000 research.
So we're talking 20 versus 77, essentially.
Was that gone up to? The 77?
That I've already inflated that a little bit.
And that includes the line, the striping of lines.
Yes, the
Yeah.
coating.
Everything.
Coating of the surface and the striping. The ball posts and that.
That's.
Well, it's a ball post.
Can you can reuse the nets though, right? Like taking them out, like if we move the whole thing, taking them out doesn't
They're both down. Here.
unbolt and move them, put them back down.
So as far as vandalism, chief, obviously you would prefer down closer to Grove, down by the volleyball, because you can pull your patrol cars right in the parking lot there, right?
Closer to it,
Okay.
generally what happens is we'll get a call of people fighting on the basketball court. There's not an easy way to get there. They see us coming, and they take off the opposite direction, whether it's up the Sycamore or the south end or across fences through houses or what have you. If it's right near the street, we can pull in and it's easier to contain that.
And your guys on bikes are only during the day, you don't do that at night.
Generally, it's only been for special events, so we don't generally have those available.
Yeah.
During regular.
Well, they shouldn't be playing there after dusk anyway.
Right, yeah, there is.
So, right, I mean. What about putting some kind of sound barrier, trees, bushes, something down by South Grove on the other side to mitigate some of the sound? Any room there for that? Like we're gonna do on the other side
of the-
for Sycamore Walk,
On the, wait, on the east side,
on the west side?
on the west side, on the South Grove side.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna move it, something there, I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
It sounds like a good idea, but I think the less barriers in the park and the
Mm-hmm.
more visibility, the better.
yeah. I'm just trying to think of something to mitigate some of the sound
Yeah.
that would be.
I know one of the residents who was here, spoke at a previous meeting, wasn't here tonight on Sycamore. Said she didn't want a berm or a wall or anything, in
Okay.
between her and the park, even if it did
Mhm.
mitigate the sound.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't want the visual, they don't want the
Right.
visual obstruction.
We can always put it in later.
Yeah. Hmm. Does anybody wanna lead a consensus, or do you guys need to do more research, or do you wanna go down and walk the park and look at the 4 different options? Not right now, but
To me, I feel like there's two options. I'm not fan of cutting the tree down. I think that's pretty clear with.
it's between that and the
what was
Aurora
here.
players
So
proximity.
Yeah. I think either resurfacing and moving it over maybe, or putting it out with the other court. But I do like the idea of returning the original court to green space and planting more trees in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah, making sure we have an even swap in green
Yeah.
space or more green space as a result. So we resurface it and it's 20 grand, and then we add 4 nets to it. Those are 2,300 a piece. So that's another 9 grand. So we'd be 29, 30,000 to have 6 nets around a resurfaced NBA size court in there.
My
In
concern with the
these-
resurfacing
and-
is how long is it gonna get us? Because if we're resurfacing it again in 5 years, how long does a brand new court cost? Or how long is the life of a brand new court? versus the resurface one. So we're just spending another 30 grand in 5 years.
Well, we were at that with the tennis courts. The tennis courts were so bad
Right.
that the engineer was like, it isn't even worth resurfacing them. You should just do new ones.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the money, so we had them take out the courts and put grass there until we had the money, which we now do. So this court, I mean, it's got cracks and stuff in it. I don't know that it has big heaving buckles like the tennis court did, but I can't speak to it. I'm not an engineer.
I don't know, I feel really concerned about the money, but I don't want to be looking at some short term. You know, like doing the quick fix, I'd rather look for long term, something that will last, so I think your point
Yeah.
is. So, you know, we're talking $50,000 difference.
Right.
For something that maybe would last longer. I am concerned about the neighbors down on Grove Street. I mean, the thing is, you know, we're worrying about the neighbors on Grove, we're worrying about the neighbors on Briggs, we're worrying about the neighbors on Sycamore, and, you know, and it's like, I think there's enough going on at that end of the park right now with Little Loop and Lacrosse that I think that the neighbors on Grove Street are kind of used to more activity down there, so.
I like that it's more visible for the police.
that
that
too,
At
yeah.
night, they can drive by and see him and kick him out of there.
And maybe
And
just-
signage is important, I think, too. Someone brought it up, putting
Yeah.
some signage up at the park.
Yeah.
It says this is closed at dusk.
Yeah,
More visible.
enforcement on getting the kids out of there when they're supposed to be. But
That's like hurting
I-
cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they do,
Sure.
and since the beginning of the summer, when we had the graffiti issues, we've been trying to get patrols in there every hour.
Right.
And, you know, as soon as the car's going away, they're coming out of the jet.
I'm concerned about the money too. However, if we're gonna do it, let's do it once and do it right. And then secondly, we don't have enough to do the bathrooms the way that we were gonna, you know, like, if we don't use that 50, we, you know, we're still gonna address the bathrooms. Then we'll have the court where we want. I think I'm leaning more towards moving it now towards the other active area. Have them plant trees, have that grow the way they want it, and have it oriented the right way. A new surface, so we're not gonna have to put another Band-Aid on in 5 years, and have everything done right in the right spot.
And you can't say that we're losing green space because it's a swap.
Right.
You're improving the grove, you're adding green space there, you're adding potentially additional trees.
Right.
And removing this issue of the language and then the police making their job more difficult with the youth.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too, Molly. I think that's. I mean,
I mean, I know some people in South Grove aren't gonna be happy about it, but I think the positives outweigh it.
Well, there used to be an ice rink there. We play hockey there.
I know,
when
we
I was a
played hockey,
kid.
I know. I
In
did
the
as a
summer,
kid.
there's volleyball. The kids, when I was working on a house across the street in South Grove, on a couple houses, there were always kids in the summer that were playing volleyball, practicing. I think there were high school kids practicing. So there's activity back there, you know,
Is there,
all year.
I mean, do both volleyball nets get used?
I saw the
Probably by
one
the
being
rec
used. I
department,
saw
but-
one group of high school age kids using the one volleyball net.
That's on wonder, is there a place we can put another one?
I didn't see both being used at the same time, not that they don't both get used, but I know that they were gathering there and playing for
need-
like several hours in the morning.
And let's not forget Nate Buckley's recommendation on
The
kind of
tree,
care
yeah.
for the existing sugar maple too.
Right,
Well, this will help that tree to
Absolutely.
perhaps extend its life.
and someone mentioned there was a beach there too, so just.
There's a beach and it's.
No, so.
And the trees today are such, you know, they're just so, they have so much going against them now. Now there's a fungus that's affecting beech trees.
Yep.
There's a fungus that's killing off all the blue spruce. Maples are threatened because of the warming climate and, you know, that the ground doesn't freeze solid all winter. And there's so much going against them. Everything we can do to help these trees to survive and live, because it's just be sad to see them, dying. And I can't imagine that park without its mature trees. It's one of the most beautiful things about the village, and I agree with everything that was said.
Yeah, to Nancy's point, Matt, if we could make sure that we've got proper clearances on the trees by the pickleball for construction equipment.
If we can make the trees' lives easier by moving that basketball court, then, I think that would be a win too.
I think whatever we do on the basketball court, we gotta go for the 6 nets.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That makes much more accessibility for more people.
Right.
How long would, what sort of timeframe would that look like? Matt, as far as if we were to move the basketball court, is that something that we could accomplish this season? Or?
Yeah, with the pavement application, digging it out, the drainage. Something. This fall, and we would probably be able to.
Well, there's still asphalt.
Out. And get the update. That's done. Might be able to get the old one removed. If not.
And then it could be replanted.
Another thing I was thinking is. Maybe once we do the bathroom or fix the bathrooms in the basketball court, maybe we should go back to the plan. And just revisit it and make sure that. What the phases are, what we want to do, and sort of reassess things. Now that we're 5 years out and we've done some of it piecemeal, just to make sure that. And if you get that committee going.
We're gonna get the committee going. I have a rough draft of the
That all
mission statement I
at the same
sent
time
to
that
Rain
we
today.
hit the Set button
Yeah.
and just make sure that.
What I
we-
did was I looked at, I don't know, a dozen or two. Different parks committees, mission statements from all over the place.
Yeah.
Actually, Village of Williamsville had a really good mission statement, but I was looking at. Rockport and other places in other parts of the country, and I sort of, pulled it together, but they. What their goal was to be. The liaison between the public and the village, and be active and giving, input and ideas, because we have a lot of very passionate people, obviously, who love their park and are intelligent and come and have all sorts of talents that can be utilized, and being the watchdogs for not just Hamlet Park, but the others. I mean,
Right.
Casanova, which we know we have a Parks Committee, Jim Clark's on that.
South Street Sanctuary, the
The
sinking
sinking
ponds.
ponds, we also have Old Baldy, I mean, that's village property too. There's the pocket park, so we have these public spaces that we need to. Make sure that we're doing it right, and that we get back on track, and we look at the master plan, and there's some things in that master plan I didn't like. Maybe we don't use that, but we use this, but getting those bathrooms. Getting back, proper bathrooms in that can't be vandalized as easily, I think should be one of our very top priorities. We get that right.
I think we're all on board.
We're all on board with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, making life easier on those trees, protecting that growth.
And it's not like we need to, put the basketball court on hold to do the bathrooms, right? We
No,
can
that's
still
what I
get
said.
working on the
We still
bathrooms this
can.
winter. And we can get started on
Do the basketball
on the
court,
court right
bathrooms,
away.
Hit the reset button,
Or you
revisit the
supplement
plan, got your new committee, and then go from there.
I mean, we're one of the only villages around that doesn't have a decent basketball court. I mean, you go anywhere, Orchard Park, I walk past there, it's on my daily walk when I'm at work, there's, we need to get that court fixed, because there are people who want to play. And we owe it to them. It's not just a minority of people that,
Oh, it's the only one in
It's not a-
town. I mean,
this isn't some
Right.
foo-foo thing. This is the only one in town, and most towns have
Right.
1, 2, or 3 available.
Kristen,
So it
Grace?
sounds like the consensus sounds like moving the court.
These two are for moving.
Mhm.
And Ernie,
Moving.
you drifted over to moving. What do you guys?
Yeah.
Good with
You
moving,
okay
as
with moving it?
long as we restore the existing and that's something.
That's my big thing,
I
is I
like
don't want to
it.
lose green space.
Right.
And I
For
think the
growth.
6 courts, I think the 6 nets around a full-size new court is nice, and it's what we deserve.
Again, I think it's good to move it away from the little kid, rotating it and moving it, 20 feet away. Doesn't do anything for what language you can hear,
Mhm.
It also doesn't, again, it doesn't help the trees.
Right, Right, it's kind of a worst of all worlds
impacts,
compromise
you know,
solution.
it impacts other, you know, there's impacts around it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And please keep the bathroom renovation on track.
Yeah.
I love the
Mhm.
idea of resurfacing the floors in there too. Replace the oil drums for the garbage bins, just a few things.
Yeah, there's a lot of
just to
small-
upgrade it. Kristen and I spent quite a bit of time.
We did.
I don't know, about a month ago, we went through every inch of the park, looking
Mhm.
at things, and there's all kinds of little fix-it things that don't really cost that much that could help upgrade it. You
Yeah,
don't
maybe-
want to be
right.
doing piecemeal. I know people think that, oh, we've got to be following the plan in a certain sequence, but I think the reality is we've got to be flexible enough to deal with priorities and critical situations
Yeah.
as they come up.
And that's written in the
Right.
plan. It said elements of the plan may change or occur at different times depending on available funds.
Right.
As well as they do talk about relocation of the activity areas is preferred due to surface conditions, doing something
Mhm.
with them. So.
Just
All right,
looking at
I
the
guess,
garbage
just to be honest, I really
recyclables
think
in
taking the
general.
court where it is and moving to 25 feet west might open us up for less issues, not to be a,
Mhm.
you know, what's the one dissenting person? A wet blanket. I'll take it. Not to be a wet blanket, but I'm inclined to think just moving it 20, 30 feet west, farther from the playground. I don't know. I guess it just seems like that's where it is now. People are used to the noise now. But that doesn't take Shane's security concerns into account either, so.
And it
you
doesn't
know,
save us any money. It's the same amount of money.
Yeah, I didn't say it would save us money.
Oh, okay,
It's the same amount of money and it's not going north south.
right.
But it's not opening up maybe a new can of worms, my concern. But here's the thing, if you guys are all down with moving to the active area, I can get behind that too.
We can start tomorrow.
Well,
Can you mark it off tomorrow? So we can see what we're working with?
So, and I think we had talked before about having those new courts be like ADA accessible, right? Having the path there and everything. This should be able to be in line with that
Yeah, actually.
and
that's-
served by the same
This is
thing.
right where the path was gonna go, right?
There's a new path.
There's
that goes
this
from the
path.
Parking lot to the tennis court.
Okay, I haven't walked it since.
Go right in front of it.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's accessible.
Cause it's hard to get from the parking lot on Grove, the
Yeah.
one that's more north, to get into that basketball court now, I would imagine if you're in a wheelchair
Yeah.
or, right,
Mhm.
or some sort of,
Yeah, that was one of the things the plan did
Yeah.
recommend is having consistent ADA compliant
Right.
paths around the park.
so.
You know, right
increase-
now we got like, we got
Increase
pavers,
accessibility,
we got
another one. for the
pavement, we got
concert,
concrete, we got
right.
gravel, yeah. So that's definitely something we're working towards as well.
Right, so if we can, all of that is accessible down there, we get the bathrooms are gonna be accessible, then we're kind of, starting to make improvements
Closer
and
to a
moving
bathroom.
along the
Yeah.
park.
It's been neglected long enough in this
It has.
board, and I think currently the community is actively gonna hold us to it to make sure we're keeping up on the maintenance
And
and
it's closer to a bathroom.
the
as well.
improvements to it. Yep. All right, Matt, you're gonna mark the court? Thank you. Maybe can you mark the walk too?
Well, the walk is pretty much defined by the.
By where the court's going?
Where the trucks are going.
Yeah, but does the,
Fair enough.
I mean, I see that path, but does the new court area overlap that?
We'll get it marked up.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Board of anything else they wanna?
Back to the tennis pickleball court. What are people's thoughts on looking into the noise barrier? Go with the
I
fence,
feel like-
maybe to at least explore it.
I looked at the acoustic, what's it called, acoustic fence or something?
Yeah.
And it looks like. Kind of like, it looks fine, it's like canvas or whatever, but it's like if you put canvas all over the fences, you know what I mean?
It's got it, yeah,
But you can't see through it,
right.
and so it makes it like walls. You know, and it says it can withstand the weather in the northern United States. And at, what is it, it's 6 feet high by 30 feet for like $700. So it's not cost prohibitive to add it. But my concern is that it's gonna kind of compartmentalize that area. And you're gonna have this visual block that I know Shane also wasn't a fan of. of obscuring lines of sight.
There's security within there.
My thought is maybe we just put them up and see how it goes. And that's something we can
You
go
could
to
add-
if we need,
Yeah.
yeah, because all you do is there's grommets in them. And all you do is tie it to the fence, the existing fence. Now, so Owen's group, the Friends of Hamlin Park, they sent over some different fence ideas. On something that's a little more artisan, maybe, than just chain link. With, yes, Charlie. But I like it. I really like the fence designs that you sent over. So we're figuring out a way to include that into the bid, just to see what the price difference is, see if it's reasonable to do. But I mean, any fence that's at least 6 feet high, you can attach this to it. So I know one of their designs had the fence come down along the sides for less people hit it out of play. And then come back up for the backstops behind it. So we could still add those to it down the road as long as the fence is at least 6 foot. Actually, they sell 3-foot sections.
I mean, I guess, why don't you wait to see if there's a problem or an issue before you put it up? It's kind of where I landed on it. I mean.
If it really becomes an annoyance, they want it, we can put it up later.
This pickleball is.
Mhm.
Well, I hear it when they're playing at the rink from my bedroom, but it doesn't really bother me.
And we'll have it in the center of the park, so it'll be as far from Sycamore and Grove as it can be.
As
that
it
we-
possibly can.
Right.
What else? That's good. That's gonna mark it. He'll let us know when it's marked. You guys can go take a look.
And we will explore the additional bathroom on the existing building, like at least.
Yeah,
some sort of
that was
cost
put
estimate.
together. That's gonna be, I'm assuming the town paid 400 grand. I'm assuming we're, you know, in at
That
least in that
ballpark.
range, maybe less, maybe more, but it's not gonna be something you pay for out of petty cash. So we're gonna have to bid that out and everything formally, but we can move forward on that too. All right, so that's the end of new business. Going back to our public hearing. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider a local law to amend Village Code Section 249-28, no parking tabled from August at, oh wait, is this still open? This one's
Yeah.
still open,
Oh,
so we
yeah,
didn't even need to
yeah.
open the public hearing. Nice job.
Not a lot of seventh graders can do that.
Thank you.
Nice job, Benjamin.
So,
Goodbye, Greco family. All right, so we don't need to open the public hearing, it's already open. So does anybody want to speak about the no parking thing? I think Kathy has one answer to a concern a resident had the last time we discussed this.
Shane and I talked earlier today. Do you want to go over details?
Yeah, there's nothing changing from the parking signs that are already up. It was just a technical issue that the village needs to fix on how they were done the first time. So the parking that is now is what's staying.
All right, the resident was concerned that would mean no parking, and this is Fillmore right up to Parkdale, right?
Correct.
From,
We- and we
Willow to
had-
Parkdale.
We had to move it at the time because the road construction happened and the water moved from from the south side to, or the north side to the south side, and the hydrants went on the south side. So we're gonna lose parking if we kept parking there.
Mhm.
So we moved parking to the
South side.
north side.
Oh, wait, the no parking signs are on the south side. Yeah,
Yes.
I just drove it on my way here.
Yeah, so it's staying the way it is now.
Good. Anybody from the public want to speak on the no parking code change? Very good. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 8:16 PM? Moved by Marcia, second, second by Grace. For the discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Excuse me, official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve a local law amending Village Code Section 249-28, no parking?
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second by, was it Grace? By Kristen, second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a special use permit to establish an accessory dwelling unit at 59 Center Street? Moved by Marcia, second, second by Grace. Further discussion. We've got pictures. They're not the ones that are attached to the agenda, are they?
Updates?
Those didn't look good. What? Who made our agenda? Okay, do you know if those are the updated pictures? I looked at them, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I see it, Mike. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep, that's it.
Go sit down now.
Thank you, Liz.
Go ahead, Mike.
Michael Anderson, Abstract Architecture at 313 Broadway, Buffalo, New York. At the last village meeting that we were at, the request was a change in materials to the board and batten. We did go also to a corrugated metal roof, again, keeping with that more traditional look, which was not a problem. You'll see from the revised elevations and materials that that's what it just took some explaining to my client. This is the reason why we weren't back sooner. The landscaping, I just talked with Jesse and he seems to have abandoned us. In order to place the ADU where it will be most efficient on the site and also cause the least disruption, we are cutting down 11 mature trees. But we are saving the majority of what's on the property right now on the south side, so that the properties that butt onto it will actually have no change in the level of privacy that they currently have. We have proposed planting 11 new trees, mainly on the north side, because currently there is it's much more open. The property and the site is quite transparent, even from the fire station parking lot. And just talking to Jesse, we've proposed 2 species. They're very resilient in our local climate. They're a taller round is their technical classification. So again, during the summer, they would be quite a visual block. In my discussions with Jesse, we would actually just work with whatever the tree board wants us to put there. The desire is to create a level of privacy back there. So the mature round tree would be, whatever the species would be okay with my client.
So you're proposing Japanese lilac and crabapple?
Yeah, a little bit of color, but again, a nice round head, which provides a lot of privacy. Jesse said that were both good, but he would also look at it and make some recommendations.
So Jesse's gonna make some recommendations to you?
Yeah.
And you're gonna take those into
We're fine.
into account?
He knows what my client wants. And again, if it's something that's in keeping with that's already in the village or it's acceptable to the tree board, they're not gonna have an issue with that.
Yeah, I got the right plan up in front of me.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that because it is the individual's personal property. Do whatever they want with trees on the property. And the fact that they are willing to replace what's there and obviously it benefits them as well.
So part of the discussions I've had with them was more just the misunderstanding on why, what's the issue. Once they got it in that they're allowing us to create the privacy, that their questions on it went away. So
awesome.
That's great.
So that's a commitment from them.
yeah, that'll be enough talking, and next, if you guys approve this tonight, our next phase is permit approval and that site plan will be in the permit application.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Anybody have any questions for Mike besides what we've already thrown at him? Nope. Good. Nice job. You do good work.
Mike? Thanks.
All right, Marcia made the motion. Grace seconded. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Was there a discussion?
Thank you very much.
Sure. Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for EA2 EV El Fondo Charity Bike Ride? John Simperman on October 1st, 2022.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by Grace. Further discussion. So Shane, is this their second annual?
It is.
Right?
Yep.
And the first one, I know he asked for a police I think, what did he ask for? Just kind of an escort to cross Main at Pine, right?
Yeah, I think we took at least out to Mill Road, if not farther, just until they had a straight shot coming out of the village, because
Yeah,
they're
they're all
all
kind of
grouped up
together.
in the village, and then after a mile or so, they kind of spread out. So there's no issues with it.
Yeah.
We have an applicant. Stand in.
Um, Would you, yeah, that'd be great. Would you like to give us a quick high level? You're not John Simperman? What?
I was given information with the most likely asked questions. So if you have questions that are.
I do
most
have
likely
one.
To be asked, I might have answers.
Are you ready?
I don't know. We'll try.
All right. It said time and location, Fillmore and Pine, 7:30 to 10 a.m. That's when they're gonna get going. But it also is asking for outdoor music and a DJ and amplification. That's my concern, what she just said.
Okay, so the amplified sound was a small generator. It's the start area from 9 to 10 a.m. only.
So the amplified sound's gonna go from 9 to 10.
Yeah, and it's just announcements and a little bit of, it's not any big deal. As
Who's the
was last
DJ?
year.
Is it DJ Milks from the Sabers?
I have no idea.
Or is it just like, is it just like
Is it just
John?
Zimmerman up
Yeah,
there? with
that's
the
Zimmerman
microphone?
with a microphone.
Ready, set, go.
It's just kind of background music. I don't think it's anything.
The DJ's the part that scared me. Well, I guess it's a box they had to check, right? It could just mean it's,
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah,
as
9
well.
is fine.
Right, 9 to 10 is
all
fine.
right, so is it gonna cripple your event if we only approve 9 to 10 amplification instead of 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday?
Well,
morning?
it says 9 to 10. It's the amplified sound
It'd be outdoor
with
music.
small generator at start area from
you have
9 to
notes?
10 for pre-start
Small portable
instructions. It's
generator.
really for pre-start instructions.
The generator's not an amplifier.
I'm
Well,
guessing
there's
just
source.
that there's gonna be noise from the generator or the sound system. So they could make announcements.
Right.
Oh, well, that's
line up.
Usually the sponsors have a couple things to say and just safety precautions and that kind of thing.
That's fine.
It's not very loud.
It just says in the application, says, will there be outdoor music? Yes. Time and location, Fillmore and Pine, 7:30 to 10 a.m. DJ amplification.
Yeah, we
That's
don't
all
have
the
9 to
same
10.
group, so
I
do you
have
guys
no
wanna,
DJs.
do you guys want to put a limit on that? Who made the motion? Kristen?
Yeah.
Do you want to change the window they can have amplification? You made the motion. It's your decision.
Yeah, I think 9 to
9
10.
to 10 is fine. Okay.
Perfect.
And Grace, you want to second that?
Yep.
And was there anything else in here? Dr. Shane about the police escort, with the amplification. Anybody have anything else?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
Opposed? Approved with the changes. Thank you very much for coming out. Just for the record, did you say your name and address?
I'm Deborah Fenn and I live at 1068 Jewett Homewood. I'm the president of Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail.
Thank
but
you.
I don't.
That's nice.
I
It's
don't-
going to benefit the rail trail.
Yeah.
That's
it
great.
Will,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fantastic.
Last year, we raised $50,000 with our
Wow.
initial event.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
We had 300
Wonderful.
riders, which we didn't expect that. And this year, we're anticipating a few more.
Yeah.
That's great. Wait,
Perhaps more.
how many are you anticipating?
I think it's a
It says
Right
400.
now, it's up to 260 something.
Oh,
And we
great.
still are a month away. And usually they sort of
You think it's gonna-
scramble on board the
Yeah.
last. month.
We just got surprised by the Clydesdale, so we want to be prepared this time.
No, it's not. We'll be fine.
You're not gonna have any Clydesdales at this, are you?
No.
They're a big draw. There was one other.
Parking?
Oh, it said, no, it said something about
Start
the
area?
after party was at 42 North.
No. You start at 42 North. The
I
after
know, they
party's
started 42.
elevated.
That's what was confusing to me.
I
After
was thinking-
event at 42 North Brewing, it says location, East Fillmore and Pine Street. After event at 42 North Brewing.
Yep.
But everybody's gonna be on a bike in Ellicottville and they just rode
Right.
50 miles. They're not
So
gonna.
they-
Well,
Well,
there's
just
some
say-
people who did 42 miles and that said that's not enough and came back.
They come back. I hate those kind of people.
I know. That's
All right, so we're
me.
not worried about any big
I don't think so.
shenanigans at 42.
And they're
Right.
doing parking at Fisher Price, right?
Fisher Price, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, that's all taken care of.
We voted, right? We're good. I
Yep.
got your name and address.
All right.
Everybody's in a good place.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
thank you very much, Deborah. Appreciate you. I get a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the union contract agreement with the PBA for the term June 1, 2022 through May 31st, 2027. Moved by Marcia, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion?
Nope.
Everybody's up on the terms and everything.
Yep,
Kudos to Kathy and Maureen
yep, well done.
for at least 15 meetings we had,
Wow.
including our strategy session. I counted at least 15. But good, it's done and we're taking care of our guys and it's fair. So
Good, well done.
please. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. All right, we did new business. There wasn't any other new business, right? All right, second speakers and communications. Anybody want to speak? Second speakers and communications. Anybody? Nobody at all?
Say my name, okay. I just want to say, I haven't been on one of these in a really long time, and I thought that was a really incredible, thoughtful conversation that you had about it. I'm really impressed and greatly appreciate that thoughtfulness. And Matt, I hope I can call you with specifics about construction so that we can safely get the court out if it's being moved. So is it okay if I call you? Okay, good. All right. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
Like Jim to do it, read another bedtime story. It's getting to be my bedtime.
I want to hear how it ends. How does it end?
We all know how the Laura.
Yeah, come on.
All right, Owen? Yeah.
Yeah, it was thank you so much for listening. There was 10 people showed up this evening, and one family also who wanted to see the courts fixed in some way, but nobody asked for the courts to be moved or for that extra budget to be spent on moving those courts. You know, people were asking for bathrooms primarily, and also I think people were asking for a pause and for a reset, and for Ernie's idea to take off, for there to be more of a thoughtful and open plan. So if that decision is final, I think there's also just an opportunity sort of lost that, again, a knee-jerk reaction doesn't have to be decided tonight. There is no immediate rush on something when it comes to moving those courts. And this could be a time just to do that reset and to establish the committee, the advisory group, to just zoom out and really look at, rather than the pragmatics of what needs to happen to the court now, but to look at really, is there a bigger plan? Like, for example, just one idea that would be a zoom out idea is, could the basketball court be moved somewhere else entirely out of Hamlin Park that would address, you know, the security, the language, you know, moving things? Like, that's just another idea. Again, these are ideas just off the top of our heads, but could there be people who have experience around park planning coming together, looking at models from around the country and suggesting ideas that have been really thought through? Because these are very complex and complicated things that require a lot of experience to make happen. So I just wanted to say that again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, that ends our second speakers and communications. Department head report, Shane.
We did have a incident. Burglary occurred at the self-storage just outside the village on Olean Road that my department's dealing with. It appears to be a organized situation where there's at least, I believe, 5 other towns since then that have seen the same situation. Other than that, school's back in session. Our SRO just got back from a week of training for the position. And we're working currently with the school to get a part-time position up and running to cover middle school and Parkdale. So the school would like to have started that last week, but it's probably going to be another few weeks before we get that up and running. the school has a contract we forwarded to the front office, and you guys will have to go over that and approve whatever that agreement is, and then the school will need to approve whatever changes. And but the cost would be solely bore on the school district. So there would be no money going out from my department for
What
that.
about a vehicle and the gun and the vest?
Gun we have, vest he has, a vehicle would be available if we had one available. If not, he would have to use his own vehicle.
So you have an officer that could fill that role
Well,
already?
we have a recently retired detective who was our dare officer that is just waiting. He's already met with the school. The school met with him and are extremely excited to bring him back on board. So that's how that would work.
Great. Anything else, Shane?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Matt?
I would just like to say that every morning, including weekends and holidays, we are at the park collecting all the garbage in the receptacles and cleaning the bathrooms and stocking them with supplies. I realize the bathrooms don't look the greatest, but they are clean and very usable. That being said, we will be rehabbing them, the ones near the football fields over the winter. And we'll be hopefully starting soon on the new basketball court.
Do you see any benefit to adding more garbage cans, Matt?
I
There's
don't
one, there's one by the DMV shelter.
Yeah.
And didn't there used to be one by the 100-year-old flagpole that Rob discovered at that entrance there?
There's one at the entrance. I believe there's one at the far entrance down near Sycamore. And then we just placed one at the entrance off of Griggs. I mean, a few more garbage cans wouldn't hurt.
I'm just thinking it probably gets, oh yeah, that's right, the
Recycling,
recycling.
recycling options.
We've tried recycling in the past. We've had it on Main Street and it just turns into another receptacle for garbage and we end up the amount of time and manpower it takes to remove all the trash and separate the recyclables out. It's a huge issue. They just end up getting filled with garbage.
So even the cans with the circle opening,
Correct.
people throw trash in them.
Yeah. Yep. That's all I got.
Thank you, man. Liz?
Yeah, just one thing. I've been talking with the representative from United Refining who operates Quickfill over on the circle. The DEC is requiring that they install monitoring wells, and they have to be installed in the McDonald's parking lot area or drive-through area.
Oh,
So
come on.
not kidding you. And so McDonald's doesn't want to close their business. So they will be doing this work September 20th, 21st and 22nd. They're going to be operating between 11 PM and 5:30 AM. There will be some drilling. There will be some noise. It's not going to be constant, but they will be working those 3 days to install those wells overnight. We
So-
have done a mailing postcard, 500-foot radius of that property. Those went out in the mail today. A copy went to Jessica to be posted on the website. I've been in contact with Shane since January on this project. And, just so that everybody's aware that this is, it's a requirement. And unfortunately, this is how it has to happen.
So is 500 feet, I'm trying to picture residences within 500 feet of the drive-through window. Is 500 feet, like how loud is this going to be? Do we know? Is it going to be like, should we be notifying people like 2,000 feet away? I know our requirement is 500 feet, but should we be putting out a cast a wider net to make sure people know about this? We learned that over communication is really what we need to do because
We can
people miss stuff.
do that. You would just have to tell me how much further you would like to.
I don't know how
I mean,
loud
if you look in that area,
a
there's
well is.
it goes out down to Knox Road. We do go down Knox Road a bit. We go further up Buffalo Road, not as far as the Unitarian Church, down Hamburg Street.
Yeah. And then,
So it's like Hamlin, right?
yeah,
Is Hamlin in that circle?
No, it's not in that circle.
yeah, those are probably the two directions where the homes are, right? Down Knox and up
Well,
Buffalo.
and I mean, there's buffering between the McDonald's parking lot with the plaza and the Hamlin Avenue properties. It also buffers some of the Buffalo Road as well with the United Refining with the quick fill building itself.
Yeah, in their garage.
Yeah.
they got there.
Yeah.
And that statue, Albert Hubbard.
Yeah, I think they're installing 3 wells in total. So it's not going to be
All in the drive-through or in 3 different areas?
3 different areas.
Where
in
the
that
other two
parking
going?
area.
Where the other two going?
There, 2 of them are in the driveway and one is kind of in between the drive-through lane and the parking lot.
So not like by the Irishman and over by the Dollar General?
No, they're all on the McDonald's property.
Why was something, did they find something leaking? Are
No,
afraid
they,
of something
no,
leaking?
they just reinstalled the tank on Quick Fill's property not too long ago. And DEC this is one of their requirements for monitor wells.
Yeah.
I
gonna
can
look
go
at the-
further if you want me to.
I'm gonna look
Just
at
let me
that
know.
list. Yeah, I'd like to know. I just would like to over inform, you know?
Okay, I will send you the list. I'm out of the office for the next 3 days, but I'm reachable by phone. We can get these out later today or, later this week,
Okay, you said September, what, 19th?
20th,
20th?
21st and
Especially if it's gonna
22nd.
be Overnight, I think,
Yeah, that's rough.
yeah, 3 times a week.
Yeah, I just remember the culvert work, those diverters, those pumps were.
I don't
noisy.
think these are giant wells, though. I
No.
think they're probably like
Yeah.
3-inch
Yeah.
Diameter.
Just
real
something to monitor. Mm-hmm.
underground.
Mhm.
You're not bringing water up, right?
No.
No.
Yeah.
That's not what they're saying. Yes, after 2 days of drilling, they're basically done.
Right. That's what we've been
Okay.
told,
Yeah, I just
is
don't know
that
how
2
long
days
that
of
is.
drilling.
All right, so maybe we'll expand that list a little.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll
Anything else?
forward that
Liz?
to you.
Thank you.
No, I won't be in the office for the next 3 days. I am reachable by phone, by email, whatever. I can, if anybody needs to reach me,
But you're gonna send me the list before you leave.
I'm gonna send it to you now.
Is technology great? Most of the time. Kathy? Nice haircut, Kat.
Thank you, Mayor.
Stylish dude.
So we did have an ambulance meeting. Chief was there. You were not around. I was there, Roger from the fire department, and 2 representatives from AMR. It went on for about an hour and a half, had a lot of good discussion about, obviously response times is one of the things that that gets discussed. Just a lot of different protocols and things, of course, you had approved, just at your last meeting, for the fire department to retain that older vehicle and convert it to a fly car. So that is expected to help the situation regardless. And we talked about a lot that, just as you just mentioned, Mayor, improved communication can probably help a lot of our situations. So actually, Roger knew the other gentleman that came from AMR that was not Tim Frost. Help me out with it. Do you know who that gentleman was? It's in my notes somewhere. In any event, so Roger has known this other gentleman from AMR for about 30 years. So they're friends and communication, or very well acquainted with each other. So they're going to try to do monthly meetings to just talk about issues and make sure things are going as expected. And then the monthly meeting every quarter will also include myself and Tim Frost, and I can invite Shane to come. So we're going to be doing that on a much more regular basis, and just talk about a lot of ways a lot of the challenges that everybody is facing, hiring employees anywhere, and particularly for this kind of work. Longer wait times at hospitals because the hospitals are short-staffed. They just reported on one, and this is admittedly one incident that the AMR pointed out, but where a crew had to wait 8 hours at a hospital with
I understand that
with it-
process,
with the
and I
transport.
see them at the hospital. They show up and they stand there with the patient.
They have to until that's a requirement.
For
They can't just like jump.
hours? No, but there's, I feel like the hospital should be like, okay, we got them, you know?
Nope, that's not how it works.
Not until they have staff that can physically take.
Yeah.
Right.
So so,
Seems
I mean,
like a bad
it's a real
system.
thing that they're facing, you know, it's, if they would like to do better, if at all possible, either,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of challenges facing it. So, good meeting, I would say, and appreciate Shane's, and Rogers, of course, participation. So that went well.
Yeah, and one thing that came out of it, I like Eric, right? Eric was the other guy.
Eric, thank you.
That that you guys brought up something that Tim or the AMR didn't know about in the discussion. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He was like,
Yes.
oh, are you sure? And Shane, you had all the data right there.
Right.
And, you know, threw it out in front of him. I was like, yep, here's proof. And he was like, huh, I didn't know that. That
Right,
was
so they were
something.
gonna go
it's-
back and
The
look at
monthly
the internal.
communication, I think, is a great thing to come out of that.
So, some progress here, I would say, and positive,
Good. Nice
outcomes.
job. And nice job, Shane, being ready for that.
So, talking also about the SRO and the part-time SRO, you will have at your next meeting what Shane referred to, the contract from the school district to add the part-time SRO to the full-time that's already in service. What nobody told me about too much ahead of time was that in addition to the contract with the school, we need to have the police contract that you just approved, amended that section having to do with part-time SRO, because it's very specific to when we had Joe, who was a retired person.
Yep.
So in any event, I did language, I gave it to Shane, he was good with it. I just asked Rick today where they were with it. They said, oh, they wanted some more changes from what I was proposing. So we'll see what they come back with. I'll run it back by Shane if we need to go to the school district. And hopefully we should definitely have, or we are required to have, no question, amended contract language with the union contract in order for the new part-time SRO to start serving. So I'm waiting on something to come back from the PD on that right now.
I know they'd said, you know, their big concern is the hiring practice of bringing in part-time officers. That's what they don't want. So as long as it sounds like as long as the verbiage is narrow enough and contained, you know what I mean? Plus, they preferred it to be, you know, a retired officer. So the
Yep.
fact that you found somebody they all know well is an even better fit.
All of that's in there. And then they're also saying that they don't want to say that that they would permit the part-time person to be unless there was also the full-time position going on. So in any event, we'll look and see what they come back with and continue to work with them to try to negotiate that to a good conclusion there. And then on another front, I spent a little bit of my time last week on vacation and other times. And thank you to Liz and Chris and some of the board members who had provided some of the feedback. And Grace had asked a question very specifically last week about where we were with cannabis, new regulations in the village code as far as zoning and all of that goes. So I did put a draft together and very recently got to Chris, as I said, I did actually at the end of my vacation. And so it isn't just, it's not as, I would love it to be super simple, but it can't be, because not only are you zoning for what you opted in for retail dispensaries, but we also have to consider that there were like 7 other things that the state didn't give you any option to opt out or opt in on, as far as growers and distributors and all of that those are going to have to go in some zone either. So we put it all together in the best way that we thought that it would work, and we'll present it to you and you can let us know what you think of it. And if you like it or want to change it or whatever the case may be. And then ultimately you'll end up with a draft and zones where these different cannabis related industries can go. And then you'll set a public hearing and hold a public hearing, and then hopefully adopt your zoning code. And I'm fairly certain at this point it's still going to be well in advance of us getting anybody who has an actual license coming in and saying, yeah, I want to go here with something. As well, probably be a dispensary would be maybe potentially to start with, I would think.
Great. Very
That's all I got.
proactive. Thank you. Maureen.
I was on vacation for a lot of the last period of time. I did send a code red update, and I'm going to be at NICOM next week. So I think you guys should think about one of you coming with me next time. They do have lots of training for board members.
Yeah, the NICOM training in Saratoga.
Yes.
Right. I went to it when I first got elected mayor, and it was great. It was great. like there's all these different workshops you can pick from. And I tried to just pick the ones that had working about issues that East Aurora was facing and brought it all back and gave a debrief to the board, and it was good use of time. Highly recommend. Anything else? Very good. Molly,
I'm all set.
Marcia, Ernie.
I worked on the rough draft of the mission statement for the future Parks Advisory Committee, and I sent it to Maureen. So at some point, I'd like everybody to have, provide input and then fill in the blanks, number of members who should be on it, and anything that you want to tweak. But it's a basic mission statement that I looked at other villages, like I said earlier, and, got some ideas as to what other villages and municipalities are doing. So hopefully we can get that going as soon as possible and get people involved and, have that communication from the community. And that's about it. Oh, and thank you, Matt, for the veterans banners again. My 91-year-old friend Dave is up in front of TNT Oil Loop, and he's so happy, to see his picture up there. He drove over there and looked at it, and he still drives and he still mows his lawn, and he's very, very excited. So that was a great thing that we did, was for the, I should say, the American Legion and the mayor, the idea to put their images up on our main street is just, it means a lot to them. So very happy to see that. That's all.
It does, and now you see them more around, but there's still a lot of communities that don't have them.
Yeah.
So I think our folks really appreciate it.
Actually, I've heard a lot of comments that ours are as nice or nicer than the other ones. Some of the other communities, they're not. Loved up on fire. I went into one.
Yeah.
Several of them said that ours is perfect.
Yeah.
With picture and verbiage and.
Well, they're very clear.
They're
Yeah.
clear,
So-
and they're, where you can read that, they're going up.
What we did is, as I drove around, I would take pictures whenever I saw a banner. And I sent them all to Bill Lewis, the guy at the Legion I was working with, and the two of us went back and forth, and we're like some of them have all their awards and stuff on there, or it'll say, this is paid for by, that guy's family or whatever. There was just a lot of clutter, and the photo was small, and I felt like it kind of got lost. So we wanted it a nice big picture, just some simple, clean verbiage, and yeah, Bill and I went through and came up with something that hopefully people liked. And like you said, your people are driving by, you want to make sure they can see it. And thanks again to the school for letting us use their brackets, the school and PTO. Is it PTO or PTA? PTO?
Yeah.
So the PTO let us use their brackets for free, so we could do this, and to the DPW for doing all the work of putting them all up and taking them all down repeatedly. So thanks, Matt.
That's it for me.
Great.
I'd just like to say thanks to the public for all their input on Hamlin Park. We got emails almost every day for people supporting the basketball at the park. So pretty excited to be able to give it back to them.
Thanks. Kristen?
All set, thank you.
Me too. Let's see, so. Where's your verbiage, Kathy? That's fine, don't worry about it. So, let's see. We are going to, the village board is going to stick around and meet with our attorney afterwards for some client attorney privilege exception. Private discussion, my vow, maybe, proper assertion. Yeah, that's okay, right? Yep, we're good, thank you. So the village board is going to stick around and talk to our attorney about something. We're not going to be voting on anything. We will be adjourning the meeting post haste. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Marcia, second. Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you all for coming tonight and your input. The meeting is adjourned.